Welcome to our economy panel. This panel is led by Michal Kardoš, Executive Director of the Slovak Alliance for Innovation Economy.
Thank you very much. Good morning. Still morning for the next 3 minutes. Ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests and fellow panelists, I am honored to welcome you to this discussion on the tax impact on economic well-being. As the chair of the panel, I'm thrilled to see these experts and thought leaders here today, and each bringing a unique perspective to a topic that lies at the heart of our rapidly changing world. First, please let me introduce our speakers today. My apologies. So I will start from the left side, from my left hand, Dr. Harold Furchtgott-Roth, former commissioner of the U.S. House Committee on Commerce and the Federal Communications Committee, nominated by President Clinton. Dr. Harold Furchtgott-Roth is also widely recognized as an expert in economics and communications industry. He will talk on the topic how mobile wireless connectivity has disproportionately helped low-income individuals and households, and how broadband has changed the work environment for higher income households. The next panelist, Mrs. Zuzana Mikulášová, Executive Director of brand Slovensko 30 or brand Slovakia 30. Zuzana Mikulášová has more than 20 years of experience in the international trade and development industry. So welcome. Then Mr. Peter Švec, State Secretary from the Ministry of Economy, who has more than up to 20 years of experience from the automotive industry, from the company Stellantis or Group PSA and Fiat Chrysler Automobiles, who is the automaker and provider of innovative mobile solutions. So Mr. Peter Švec will talk about pro-innovation economy. Pro-innovation economy is significantly more resistant to crisis, so this will be his topic. And last but not least, Mr. Ivan Mikloš, advisor to the President of the Slovak Republic in the field of economic policy, former Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of Finance, who will talk on the topic transformation from mass production to innovation-driven economy. About the flow of today's event, of today's panel, after my opening speech, we will have opening remarks from the panelists, and then we will have a moderated discussion. We'll have a chance to ask the question to the panelists. So then feel free to ask for the mic and ask the questions, please. Today, we are going to talk about technology, and technology's transformative power is evident in every aspect of our lives, from the way we communicate and work and how we conduct business and address global challenges. Technologies has become driving force behind economic growth and prosperity, impacting industries, societies, and individuals on a scale we could have scarcely imagined just a few decades ago. I look forward to a stimulating and productive conversation that one will help guide us in harnessing the power of technology for the betterment of our society. So, without further ado, let's begin our exploration of tax impact on economic well-being, and let me invite to the speakers table Mr. Dr. Furchtgott-Roth. Please, the floor is yours. Or you can stay at your seat, it's up to you.
Well, thank you for that very kind introduction. It's a great honor to be here, and I'm just going to build off of my comments from earlier today, and I'm going to focus on the wireless sector. Slovakia has had very rapid adoption of wireless technology and is well above the EU average in terms of wireless phone adoption per capita. And wireless services have been a great enabler, great opportunities for people to both communicate with family and friends, but also for economic activity, to learn about everything from job opportunities to what's on sale to social media applications. It has been a great opportunity for people to have better information that makes them both smarter about what's going on in the world, but also to take action based on that information. The other thing that has happened, and we saw this particularly during COVID, was the ability of those of us who are office workers to be able to work remotely. Had COVID happened even 5 years earlier, I think the ability of people to work remotely, to work from home, would have been substantially reduced. Slovakia has been able, in both of these areas, both in terms of mobile services and in broadband adoption, to be actually, I'd say, ahead of much of the rest of the EU. And this has been very helpful to the Slovak economy. Happy to go into greater detail later on, but that's the broad overview.
Thank you very much. Please, the floor is yours. Would you like? Yeah.
Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, let me start my presentation or my input, which I called Bridging the Divide, Technology's Role in Economic Flourishing. In an era dominated by rapid technological advancements, understanding the interplay between innovation and economic well-being becomes crucial. This presentation delves into empirical data, smart cities, exploring how technology adoption, digital infrastructure, and innovation are influencing economic outcomes. From broadband accessibility to R&D expenditures, we unearth patterns that shed light on the transformative potential of technology. Well, join me and I will navigate the digital landscape, accessing its inclusivity and the myriad opportunities it brings to the forefront. Discover how technology is not just a tool, but a catalyst for leveling the economic playing field. In today's segment, we'll be focusing on the digital adoption trends in the Slovak Republic. As we delve into the numbers, we'll see the transformative role of the internet in connecting people and fostering communication. In 2021, 85% of Slovakia's population had access to the internet. This is a significant number, showcasing the nation's commitment to digital inclusivity. From the previous year, there was an increase of 2.4%, indicating a steady growth in internet users. Furthermore, the digital landscape is not just limited to internet usage. Social media platforms play a pivotal role in today's digital age. In 2021, Slovakia had over 4 million social media users, marking an impressive increase from the previous year. Looking ahead, the forecast for 2028 suggests that internet penetration will reach a new peak of 92%. This projection underscores the importance of digital infrastructure and its role in shaping the future of the Slovak Republic. As we navigate through this digital era, it's essential to recognize the opportunities and challenges it presents. The data underscores the potential of technology in bridging divides and fostering economic growth. As we move forward, it's crucial to ensure that this growth is inclusive, providing opportunities for all. Next topic to explore is the relationship between innovation and economic growth in the Slovak Republic. One of the primary indicators of a country's commitment to innovation is its research and development expenditure. In 2020, Slovakia dedicated, let's say, only 0.9% of its GDP to R&D activities, showcasing its emphasis on fostering innovation and technological advancements. Well, in comparison to European Union, we can say it's not enough, because the middle value of European Union is 2.3%. Furthermore, patent applications serve as a direct measure of innovative activities within a country. Over the years, Slovakia has seen fluctuation in the number of patent applications, with 206 patents application filed by residents in 2020. This data provides insight into the innovative endeavor and intellectual property generation within the nation. As we compared to European Union in 2020, there was an all-over patent application number of 180,417 patents. As we delve deeper into these numbers, it becomes evident that innovation plays a pivotal role in driving economic growth. The investments made in R&D and the emphasis on patenting new ideas and technologies are clear indicators of Slovakia's forward-thinking approach in economic development. Summarizing Slovakia's economic journey over the past 3 decades, we focus on the GDP per capita, a key economic indicator that reflects the average economic output per person, adjusted for population. Starting from 1990, where the GDP per capita was a modest one, with around $2,400, Slovakia has witnessed significant economic growth over the period, reaching $21,000 in 2022. While there have been fluctuations, the overall trend showcases the nation's resilience, adaptability, and growth potential. The annual growth rate provides insight into the year-on-year changes in the GDP per capita. For instance, we can remember in 2007, Slovakia experienced a notable growth of 10.4%, indicating a robust economic performance in that year. Understanding these trends is crucial, as they shed light on the nation's economic health, its response to global challenges, and the effectiveness of its economic policies. As we delve deeper into these figures, we can appreciate the journey Slovakia has undertaken, transforming its economy and enhancing the well-being of its citizens. As we reflect on the insights gathered from our exploration, a few key themes emerge about Slovakia's journey in the realm of digital adoption, innovation, and economic indicators. Firstly, Slovakia has made significant strides in digital infrastructure and adoption, with 89% of households having broadband access and 88% owning computers in 2019. The nation is well poised to leverage the benefits of the digital age. In the sphere of innovation, Slovakia's commitment is evident. The nation allocated only 0.9% of its GDP to R&D activities in 2020 and saw 206 patent applications, highlighting its focus on fostering innovation and technological advancements. Lastly, from an economic standpoint, Slovakia's strengths are underscored by the high employment rate in knowledge-intensive sectors, over 60%, and a robust GDP per capita, over $19,000 per capita in 2020. These indicators not only reflect the country's current economic health, but also its potential for future growth. In a sense, Slovakia's journey is one of resilience, adaptability, and forward-thinking. As we look towards the horizon, it's evident that technology will play a pivotal role in shaping our economic landscape. Our exploration so far has provided a foundation, and now let's project into the future. Firstly, the digital divide is narrowing, predictions suggest that by 2025, a staggering 95% of households worldwide will have broadband access. This digital proliferation will not only enhance connectivity, but also open doors to myriad opportunities, especially in regions previously underserved. In the realm of innovation, generative artificial intelligence is poised to be a game changer. By 2026, a significant majority of enterprises, over 80%, will harness the power of generative AI, democratizing knowledge and skills across the enterprises. This shift will catalyze innovation, drive efficiencies, and foster a culture of continuous learning. Lastly, our economic indicators hint at a fascinating evolution. Imagine a world where 15 billion connected products act as machine customers by 2028. This transformation will reshape commerce, redefine consumer behaviors, and present novel challenges and opportunities. In essence, as we bridge the divide, technology emerges not just as a tool, but as a catalyst, driving economic flourishing and ensuring a brighter and more inclusive future. And one remark at the end. The concept of smart cities and regions has also something to do with the country's reputation abroad. Strengthening the good name of Slovakia by increasing the competitiveness of cities and regions could be linked to its attractiveness for foreign students, tourists, or foreign direct investment with higher added value. In general, the smart concept focuses primarily on the benefit to the consumer of these services. For the future of the smart concept, it is therefore important to link the attributes for which cities or regions become competitive and functionally interesting in the perception of foreign countries. It's proven that our impression of countries often stems from the impression of their capitals and how modern, or on the contrary, how traditional they are. Therefore, for the next period of its development, the smart concept in Slovakia should set itself the goal of analyzing how its deployment can contribute to increasing the attractiveness of Slovakia in various areas that deal with the topic of competitive identity. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Mikulášová. Now I'd like to ask Mr. State Secretary Petr Švec. Please.
It works. Thank you very much. Thank you for inviting me. Thank you for having this chance to talk to you. It's a symbolic because I'm probably last 24 or 48 hours in my position of 1 year long experience to be Deputy Minister of Ministry of Economy, which was a challenging time, I have to say. Anyway, to come to subject of my topic, I would make a few points, or to come to this topic, telling a few words about shortly about the history review of reforms in Slovakia. Slovakia went through a very challenging time after 1998 and mostly 2002, when significant reforms were adopted. Mr. Mikloš is sitting next to me as a co-panelist. He was one of the authors of challenging reforms which changed Slovakia and attracted Slovakia for first significant investment mostly foreign investments, but foreign investments which attracted also local investment in Slovak economy, and which changed and make Slovakia really attractive for doing business in Slovakia, for performing well investments and business in Slovakia. On the other side, Slovakia became one of the most industrialized country in the Europe. Now the industry production represents about 1/4 of GDP, of Slovak GDP, which has a positive side but also challenging side. And the challenging side is the fact that Slovakia is also energy demanding economy, very high demand of energy in industry caused little problem and difficulty during last 2 years after Russia invasion to Ukraine, after which the prices of energy went up, on rocket sky high, and there was necessity to make important steps of diversification of energy and so on and so on. But the point is, when we talk about innovations, the problem of Slovak economy now is, and I think this is the challenge of our future, to transform our economy from, I would say, traditional industrial economy on innovation economy. Because when we see the experience of countries like Finland, like Estonia, like Taiwan, like Israel, the countries which has the robust innovation ecosystem, they are ready to absorb different crises much better, and they are much flexible to absorb such shocks like COVID, like energy crisis, like semiconductor crisis in industry, and so on and so on. But we have to say that Slovakia is not star of innovation, definitely not. On the contrary, when we see European innovation scoreboard, Slovakia is on 24th place among 27 countries. So we are in the back of the line of innovation countries. And not a better place in this innovation scoreboard is the principal aim, but the principal aim should be that Slovakia is, as a small and very open economy, prepared for be more flexible to absorb challenges of development in Europe and in the world, which will be turbulent. For sure, there is no vision of some stability, and this is essential for us. And I would say that the innovation ecosystem should be a national interest of Slovakia. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. State Secretary. And now, please, Mr. Mikloš. Thank you.
Thank you. Good afternoon. I will continue where Peter ended, because I think this is the most important challenge, not only for Slovakia, but also for other comparable countries. But maybe Slovakia is a good example because we have been very successful previously in building so-called mass industrial production, and good evidence of this is that for many years now, Slovakia is #1 in producing personal cars per capita. And if we look back 30 years ago, even more, 35 years ago, it was in Slovakia, we didn't produce any personal car. Exactly saying, we produced during communism Škoda in Bratislava automobile company, Škoda Rapid, and volume of production was 1 car per day, which was the same productivity as Rolls-Royce at that time, but the car was very different. Which means, important to understand is that not to develop further, not to do further reforms, means that country which is even very developed in mass industrial production have to face so-called middle income trap. And Slovakia now is, I think, textbook example of middle income trap. What does it mean? Usually, development economies recognizing 3 levels. Developing countries are not using fully economic factors, which means land, labor, and capital. And even by using more those three factors, it is possible to achieve economic growth. Then, second level is, this is factor-driven economy, or factor-driven growth. Then the second level is efficiency-driven growth, which means factors are fully employed and used, but there are huge reserves in efficiency of using these factors. And Slovakia now is on the end of this second level, and then only possible growth for future if efficiency reserves are used, is innovation-driven economy, which means factor-driven, efficiency-driven, and innovation-driven economy. And the problem is that because lack of reforms, because lack of improving business environment, lack of necessary reforms in education, research, in public service quality and public administration quality, in stable and sustainable public finance, because lack of these reforms, we are not successful enough in competition for two items. Because global competition and also methods how to overcome this middle income threat is to be successful in competition, in global competition, just for two items: investment and labor. And talents, not labor, but talents, mostly talents. If you're speaking about innovation-driven economy, it is decisively important to develop and gain high-level talents. And because at least many years, Slovakian governments are not doing enough in providing necessary reforms, we are less and less successful in competition for these two items. Which means solution is to make more this kind of reforms, to be attractive for investment, but to be attractive also for talents. Not also for the investment talents from abroad also, but also for developing and maximizing the Slovakian producing of Slovakian investment and talent. If we look at the share of investment, overall investment, public investment, private investment, foreign investment in Slovak economy during last years, we are not the best, let's say. Even in the region, if we compare share of investment, overall investment with Visegrad 4 countries, we are not the best. Regarding talents, brain drain in Slovakia is really too big. Government just published a very nice report about this, what to do, but this is a long-time problem, which is not improving. For the future, we will see. We will have new government now, as it was said. Mr. Švec is just not only himself, but also government is just now finishing. Looking at the new government, it is not new at all, because this government will consist from people and parties which already have been in the government, which means we don't have too much positive news in this regard, but hopefully we will see. But important is that only way to not only to achieving economic growth, but finally growth is not the goal. Economic growth is method or a tool for improving quality of life, for improving living of standard, which means finally it is really important to change these policies and to speeding up the reforms. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your contributions. Now there will be a round of questions. So I will start from what has been just said about supporting innovation. What's the situation like in Slovakia these days? I mean, when it comes to European Innovation Scoreboard investments into research and development. Mr. Mikloš mentioned that the total investments into R&D are roughly 0.9% of GDP. We are currently, according to the European Innovation Scoreboards, the 5th worst country within the European Innovation Scoreboard. the 6th worst when it comes to investments into research, development and innovations. And we are the 2nd worst in the European Union when it comes to brain drain. So now the question is, and I would like to ask you, what can be done better? The first thing, like if you could mention 3 reforms that you would right now immediately implement, or that you would change something in our economy, what it would be in order to change the situation when it comes to innovation and the current status quo. So maybe Mr. Mikloš, your follow-up on what you've just said.
I will offer you 4, not 3. Important is that all this is interconnected, which means just to make one of these 4 areas, because they are not 4 reforms, they are 4 areas in which simultaneously, at the same time, is necessary to have progress, if we want to have relatively quick results. Relatively, because of course, the continuity is very, very strong. Even if you are changing economic policy dramatically, radically, you can expect that either positive or negative consequences will come not sooner than 2 years from the moment when you are changing. So this is very important to understand. That's the reason, for instance, why it was said here that record economic growth was in 2007, but it was thanks to reforms which have been done in 2003, 2004, mainly in these 2 years. But these 4 areas. First one is sound and sustainable public finance. Second one is permanently improved business environment. Third one is effective public administration and high quality public services. And fourth one is education, research, innovation, knowledge-based economy, let's say. Problem is that if not everything this, because only these changes can change the system for the creation preconditions for higher economic growth. If you have higher economic growth, then of course you have also more money, also for instance for investment to research and development, to innovation and so on and so on. But very important is that it is not only about money, it is also about how effectively this money are spent. And if everything this is done, and this is not theory, when we did these reforms which have been mentioned a few times, what we did in 8 years, Slovakia reduced public expenditures to GDP from 52% to 39%. It was one of the most quick reduction of the weight of the government in the economy, but at the same time, we had so high economic growth that in absolute terms, government had much more money with redistribution 39% in comparison with redistribution 52% before. Which means economic growth is very, very important, because otherwise, and economic growth you cannot achieve without these kind of systemic reforms which are interconnected. Very important role is playing image of the country. It was mentioned also here. And Slovakia is also a good example and also a bad example in this regard. Slovakia in end of 90s had very bad international image. It was only Visegrad 4 country excluded from integration. A nickname of Slovakia at that time was Black Hole of Europe. It was exactly what Madeleine Albright, at the time Secretary of the State, US State Secretary, named Slovakia, labeled Slovakia. Then we did a lot of reforms, and in 2003-2004, Slovakian nickname was Economic Tiger of Europe, which means it was a relatively short time, if you measure 6-7 years, but it was done not by PR campaign, not by investing in the marketing, but mainly by doing these reforms, because it is necessary to have substance. Then, of course, if you have it also depends how effectively you are selling this content, but content is important. Which means my message, I will close by this, is that problem is that one reform or one area of reform is insufficient in this regard. Because, for instance, if we will do everything, these first three, and we will not change quality of education, of research and science, then who will do this innovation-driven economy? You can have everything else, but if you will not have people educated enough and high-quality education, research and so on, then it doesn't work. And this is also why it is so difficult, why it is not such easy. And from political point of view, it is difficult also because the results are coming later. You have to first invest in reforms. And doing reforms is politically difficult everywhere in the world. Let's say in democratic countries, yeah, in dictatorship it could be different.
So what you're saying is that it requires a coordination of different ministries, for example, education, Ministry of Finance and so on, in order to be on the same page where the country is heading, right?
Not only, even above of this is political will and courage to do, because as I said, reforms are difficult politically, not only because many of them are not very popular, but also because system is protecting itself from the changes. And it is normal. It is normal that risk aversion is normal people's behavior, which means overcome risk aversion needs to have really strong political vision, will and courage to do this.
Mr. Švec, maybe my question, there's a follow-up question on what Mr. Mikloš said, but I'm really interested in if you could share with us your experience from the last year, because you visited many different countries. You mentioned Taiwan, you visited Sweden, Israel and so on, and we together visited Israel, which was a very inspirational trip together with more than 50 businessmen from Slovakia. What are your takeaways from these visits? I mean, is there some inspiration from you personally and from this for this country and for the Ministry of Economy? What can be done better? And maybe what were some measures taken based on these trips? I mean, what you managed to implement over the last year at the Ministry of Economy?
I would choose maybe easy language to explain some principles, I would say, which are logic. I think because what is the problem of this country? One of the problems is that the time between idea, innovation or invention and implementation is too long. And there are many factors in between, you know, administration, lack of finance, our behavior, our culture is also one of the burdens sometimes, because in our culture, not every time I like if my neighbor is better than me, you know, and so there are many different factors which makes this time between idea and implementation very long, and sometimes the author of ideas, they have to go to abroad and to applicate their idea somewhere else, not in Slovakia. And then you meet scientists in the US or in Germany or I don't know, where they are successful, where they are, you know, they have a successful career. Or our students, graduates of our universities are living in Slovakia, which is a big problem, what was mentioned by Mr. Mikloš. And so, what we have to do to change it? And I think one of the pattern or principle which is visible in successful countries, pro-innovative countries like Sweden you mentioned, or Estonia, or Israel and Taiwan, is the fact that there is excellent cooperation between academia, then business and government. Somewhere, you know, in Sweden, it was business who started this flow of, you know, informations and cooperation between those three pillars. In Taiwan, it was government who was the driver of this flow. In Israel, maybe a combination of both. And this is something where I see, you know, big difference between Slovakia and countries mentioned. I saw many times in my career as a journalist, because I started my career as a journalist, and then in different sectors, mostly in automotive industry, many attempts to start this triangle cooperation, but it always finishes, after 1-2 years, it has no maybe vitality to continue. And I think that the government, in our environment, government should be moderator of such a model. And during this year, in my position, we had an excellent cooperation with Ministry of Education. And it happened 4 weeks ago. Minister Butora organized on soil of Ministry of Economical University a first workshop of such a kind, where representatives of business, representatives of government, and universities work together. And I think that this, this model should be somehow, formally also set as an institutional, tool for this flow of information between those three pillars of our society and economy, because that could be one of the factors which can keep and increase, because we need to increase competitiveness of business. The companies and different sectors, not only automotive industry, there should be free space for everyone, for each good idea. They should have much better access to academia, to university, where lots of talents are. During this year I met so many individuals, either scientists or students on different universities, with so much talents, but there is a lack of system, there is a lack of cooperation and having this common goal for success.
Thank you very much for your comment. Now, maybe I would like to turn to Mrs. Mikulášová, and I would like to ask you, because you also mentioned investments into innovation. Maybe I would like to ask you, how do metrics like R&D expenditure and patent applications impact economic growth? Because you mentioned that patent applications in Slovakia are basically very, very low. I mean, you mentioned in 2020 it was 206 patent applications, and in the whole European Union there were 180,000 patent applications. So, which is we are just a small drop in the ocean. So what's wrong? And maybe to ask my question, how do metrics like R&D expenditure and patent application impact economic growth? What would be your reply?
Thank you. Yes, you need always this benchmark, because otherwise it would look like 206 is a wow number. It's not. It's the same with the expenditure to R&D, to research and development, so it's less than 1%. And I don't remember it has been more in the years before. And well, what it basically impacts is R&D leads directly, or investing into R&D leads to industrial breakthrough and to job creation. And on the other hand, if we look at the patent applications, it shows the innovative potential. And so it attracts businesses and investments from outside, well, from the country itself and also from outside. So this would be basically the explanation why R&D is important. And well, the only thing is what I wanted to mention even before to these other questions. It is a priority and decision by the government to say we increase every year the percentage from the GDP and we invest it to R&D. Because if we did not say that, it would never happen.
Maybe one follow-up question, because also Mr. Petr Švec mentioned that we have a lot of talented people. We all know that at our universities in academia, but there's a problem with patent application. So we have there are some great ideas, but somehow it's not transferred. So the technology transfer also is not working well, right? It's the ideas stay in academia and it's not connected to business. So what can be done better in order to improve this relationship from your viewpoint?
I would say, and I hear it very often to say from people that are directly involved into creating the innovation ecosystem, it's not present. Well, we did not manage to have an ecosystem that really works, that is based on cooperation between the academics, universities, between the private companies and others that belong to the system. So we did not really until now create a properly working ecosystem, and that's where the problem comes from.
Thank you very much. And now I'd like to turn to Mr. Furchtgott-Roth. You have been following the situation in Central and Eastern Europe, also in Slovakia, for some time. So how would you somehow describe the situation over the last 35 years from your position? So please share your views. Thank you.
Thank you for the question. And look, I'm not an expert on the Slovak economy, and you all are. And, but let me just offer a few words here. And if I say something wrong, please forgive me. First of all, I find it extraordinarily encouraging to hear the economic leaders of the Slovak Republic say, after the past 35 years, where your economy has grown essentially more rapidly than any other economy in the EU, where you have every right to sort of rest on your laurels and say, we've done a great job. We've gone from essentially we're about 10 times better economically than we were 35 years ago. Instead, you all are saying it's not good enough. We need to do better. And that is, I think, incredibly encouraging, because I think in a lot of countries, government leaders such as yourselves would be trumpeting how well they've done, and you all are not doing that at all. You're focusing on how you could be doing better, even though you've outperformed your neighboring countries, and you've well outperformed the rest of the EU. I'm struck by a similar situation in the United States. There are 50 states, and all of them wanted to create another Silicon Valley or Route 128 corridor around Boston, or Research Triangle in North Carolina. And every state set up a commission to how to create another Silicon Valley. They all failed. Absolutely failed. But what states have been able to do effectively is figure out ways to attract business, to attract all sorts of businesses, and to improve their education systems. A buddy of mine is the Secretary of Commerce for South Carolina. South Carolina used to rank 49th in everything. Mississippi was always 50th, and then South Carolina was just barely ahead of Mississippi. South Carolina's economy has exploded in the past, really 30 years. And it's because essentially the state goes around to businesses around the world and says, invest in our state. We'll do whatever it takes to get you here. South Carolina doesn't have much else going for it, I have to say. It's not a great state. But it's done very well. And look, I don't pretend to know all of the problems. Everything you said has made a lot of sense. You need to make it a business-friendly environment. And I think investment in university systems to make them more attractive is a very good way. I would say, and I advise private equity firms, I advise a lot of companies, and I would tell them all, you know, if you look at Europe, I think the place to invest would be Slovakia. I think you have a great future ahead. It's a place that looks to me to be a very nice place to live, a very nice place to invest in, and a very nice place for businesses to be. And I think having leaders who, instead of resting on their laurels, keep saying, how can we do better? I really find that very encouraging.
But maybe I would have one follow-up question concerning like the technological or the race in innovation between China, European Union, and United States. In the European Union, we are well known for our approach to over-regulate everything. I mean, even these days, when they, with the emerging technologies like artificial intelligence, big data, and so on. How do you see maybe the future of technological regulation in the United States? Do you think that it will remain more open system as it is now, or it will maybe be more similar to the European approach? I mean, over-regulated, because we see our system as really over-regulated, and even the American companies, US companies like Google, Meta have tough times in the European Union these days due to over-regulation. So maybe what's your take on this?
No, you're exactly right. If you look at the world's roughly the five largest corporations in the world, they're all American, and they all pretty much didn't exist 20 years ago. So the United States still is a great place for new companies to emerge. The EU has been less so, but there's no natural reason for that. There's no reason that the EU shouldn't be the cradle of lots of great new corporations. There's no reason Slovakia shouldn't be. The US, unfortunately, is imitating the EU and starting to regulate a lot of these companies out of existence. Maybe you should approach them and tell them they ought to relocate to Slovakia. But you're right, a lot of the innovation in the world is taking place in the Far East and in North America right now. There's absolutely no reason why that should be the case.
Okay, thank you very much. I'd like to encourage our audience to ask a question if there is any. So please feel free to ask a question. Yeah, there is one question.
Thank you very much for your really valuable input. And my question is, what do you consider as the biggest challenge nowadays in relationship, as you mentioned that it will be new government, new challenges are needed, and of course priorities should be taken. So what do you think, what will be the most challenging for the upcoming government and upcoming situation? As we know, we had this situation here several years before. So what do you think about it?
It was said by Ivan before, those 4 points, I think I have the same view, and I think the financial consolidation is the priority number one, because our debt is increasing rapidly. And then, to choose the priorities for the next, concrete steps. And as I mentioned, the innovation should be a national priority or national interest with digitalization and issues like this, to prepare and to make the conditions for business as flexible as possible, so that we are ready for next challenges. Very short.
Maybe I will surprise you, but I think the most important challenge will be not economic challenge, the most important challenge for the next 4 years, at least, will be protect liberal democracy. Because this is a real threat which we have now. It is clear Viktor Orban is building already more than 10 years illiberal democracy, and new government, designated government, is openly saying that they want, that this is example for them, and they want to build something similar. They didn't explicitly say liberal democracy, but I'm afraid that the biggest challenge will be to protect independent media, especially independent public media, relatively, of course, relatively politically independent other institutions which have to be independent, like police, like prosecution, like judiciary. This problem is that finally, you know, relation between political freedom and economic freedom is not so easy and relatively complicated, but in principle, at least I am deeply convinced that at least in our conditions, political freedom is necessary, first necessary precondition also for economic freedom, also for prosperity. There are a lot of reasons for this, but one of the reasons is that in every democratic country it is true that power is corrupting. Absolute power is corrupting absolutely. And of course, if you have high corruption and very non-transparent conditions, then it is you cannot expect that you will have high and sustainable economic growth. And let me also mention, which was said by our colleague, our guest, about, because it is about view angle, if the glass is half empty or half full. And that's true that progress during the last 35 years is incredible. That's true, no doubt about this. Problem is that what we need permanent convergence, and our tempo of convergence is going down. Last at least 10 years is going down, and we are losing our relative position to comparable countries like Czech Republic or Poland, for instance, but not only, Baltic countries also. Which means if we look at this also from the longer term perspective, it is even more interesting. Czechoslovakia, because we have been part of Czechoslovakia for 70 years, almost 70 years, in 20th century. After World War II, in 1948, Czechoslovakia was higher in GDP per capita than neighboring Austria. Then after 40 years of communism, we failed on the level about 50% of Austria. And these consequences of this regime, by the way, regime based on the lack of political and economic freedom, we are still trying to converge, and we are still somewhere, Slovakia now is somewhere about 63, 64%, Czech Republic is about 75%. But we have been higher than Austria, which means these consequences of the lack of freedom, lack of political and economic freedom, free and fair competition in both political and economic area are really devastating, which means the biggest challenge for upcoming years will be to protect this system of liberal democracy.
Hello, my question is towards Mr. Mikloš. You were talking about the risk of new reforms, economics and such, how people are scared to propose them because they fear the failure. What would you propose to how we could change this and make people not be scared of making such reforms?
$1 million question. If I know this, then I am now creating the government. No, of course, this is the problem. But you know, because why situation is difficult with liberal democracy everywhere. We have guests from the US. We know that everybody is waiting now what will happen in November next year from this point of view. Which means it is really big challenge, and many reasons of this why this is a big challenge. But finally, I think that we, people as well will recognize that there is no better option. Because finally, democracy is not easy. Democracy is not a system which is avoiding the mistakes and bad solution, but democracy is still offering possibility to change this and to solve the mistake. And that's also the reason why it is so important to protect a liberal democracy. And what is important then? Then it is important to have politicians who will, you know, I like some quotations in this regard. And this is a very good quotation from Thomas Sobel, American economist and author, is that the first lesson of economy is scarcity. There will be never enough sources to satisfy everybody. The first lesson of politics is to ignore first lesson of economics. And this is the kind of reason behind of the short-termism and populism, and that politicians are driven not by need of the society, not by the future generations at the future, but they are driven by the next elections results. And of course, to overcome this is very, very, very difficult, but possible. Possible, as some example of countries like Baltic countries, in some time in Slovakian history, also in Slovakia, is showing that to do reforms doesn't mean automatically and necessarily political failure. And this example of Tudor-Rinda's government, but especially Baltic countries, other countries, which means you need leaders. One of the biggest problems of the liberal democracy everywhere in the world is that we don't have leaders. We don't have statement. We have just politicians who are caring about next election, which is to have vision, courage, and will to fight for this, because it will be difficult. In every democratic country, it is difficult to do reforms. It's much easier to be populist, to promise, to spend money, to increase public debt, and to not think about what will be future. And why I'm optimist? I'm optimist also because I see change, very slow change, but change in generations. If you look at the election results, which was not very promising last time, but if you look at the structure of these election results, if you look at how young people voted, not all of them. Again, it is connected also with their education, for instance, which means it is kind of vicious circle. If you have high brain drain, then we are losing also people who understand this, who are not voting for populism and so on. So it will be never-ending fight. My answer is that no easy solution, never-ending fight, but it is very important to win in this fight.
So thank you very much for. Yeah. So maybe the very last question.
It will be short. I thank you very much. You have mentioned innovative economy. What does it take to be one? Just simple answer. What does it mean also for you? Because you have mentioned also European Union, Israel. I have a better example. In the Middle East, it's United Arab Emirates. It's not only about the money. How it is possible that they are better than the others? Thank you very much.
I will maybe just repeat what I said already. It's easy and non-burden, communication between the main players in economy. I mentioned those three pillars or three players, like the government, then academia means universities, in Slovakia, Slovak Science Academy, and all this potential of science, and the business, the companies, small and small and medium size, but also the big factories or companies. There is a lack of innovations or changes, either production or processes in economy. And actually, those companies, they do not have partners for having and finding talents immediately or very soon, in a very easy way in cooperation with universities. There is a lack of platform of easy, non-burden communication between those two partners. And government is sometimes, sitting behind and just watching and constating that there is a lack of competitiveness. But I think government should be much more active and should have long-term strategy, not strategy for 1-2 years, for 4 years of government term, but to see it as a long-term national strategy. When we mentioned Sweden, then we have been with my minister just 3 weeks ago in Göteborg when visiting Volvo. We used this opportunity and we met or we visited local university, and they said us, we started with this model 30 years ago, and we continue, we constantly continue. So this is, something what I see where we are behind those countries. So this is one of the examples.
Thank you. Can I just add? I think it's the not working, as I already said before. It's a non-working ecosystem. So this is it. So there is no ecosystem, and until it's not run properly, exchanging information, motivating each other, it will not work. But above all, on the top is a vision of this country, and I have to admit that we lack a vision. We don't know where we're going to, we don't know what we stand for, we don't know what our role is. So defining a vision for Slovakia is the most important at the moment. And then setting up priorities where we spend money, where we invest, and what do we expand, what outcomes we expect then further. So this is basically the system as I see it. Thank you.
Maybe there's okay. So thank you very much for your questions. I think we are out of time at the moment, so I would like to thank our speakers for their participation at the discussion panel. So thank you very much, Mr. Ivan Mikloš. Thank you very much, Mr. Petr Švec. Thank you very much, Mrs. Zuzana Mikulášová. Thank you very much, Mr. Harold Furchtgott-Roth. So thank you very much for your contributions, and we can't see you at the next discussions and discussion panel. So thank you very much, and I wish you fruitful discussions also during the
Thank you once again to our distinguished panelists. For those of you who are attending the conference luncheon, it will be in the hotel restaurant. Once again, please take all of your belongings with you because we will be rearranging, and we will see you after lunch for the Smart City panel.